Well, good evening, folks. 026 is back up. So, not sure yet. Did the whole brake clean test the redneck way, and it works. All I know right now is there is the possibility with the flywheel seal. So, still running like a bag of you know what. I've tried running with the filter off, check it, no difference. Because I thought dirty filter, because it's definitely not the cleanest. Not the case. So, to brake clean the impulse line intake manifold, like the rubber manifold, PTO side and crankshaft side. So, moving forward, we're going to see what happens next here. I don't know. I'm not sure what's up yet. Tear it down to the point where I can do a vacuum pressure test on it, because I really like the saw for its power to weight ratio, especially that it's ported and I run 24 on it with full house. It's got a pretty balanced, but also at the same time it's lightweight, it's nimble, it's nice and light to flip around. Yeah, so give me a few minutes to tear this down and we will get to the vacuum test. And I'm waiting for parts on the 171. So we'll get back to that. Since I do work in the house, I don't want to fire up the compressor, everybody's sleeping, so went outside, used some brake clean, plug the carb. Biggest thing, find something to plug your carb port. You don't want to get any sawdust in there. So, moving forward, I know some people aren't a fan of this, but I do use 1/4 inch drive impact, at least for pulling fasteners out. Since I've had the saw part rebuilt, nothing should be stuck. I'm hoping this is going to either be a seal or an issue with the carburetor, but I'm not sure yet, because carb was working fine. My filter was fairly dirty, but we will see. Like I say, since I've had these fasteners out, in and out a couple of times in recent months, I don't mind using an impact to get in there. So, give me a sec, I gotta find a box. If there's one thing we're not short of in this household, it's coffee cans. Work great for fasteners. Nice and deep, big. Hold dang near anything you need from a saw, except for plastics, but I mean, they will hold some stuff. Gonna have to do it. I don't have to, but I'd rather be sure. Just do a vacuum pressure test. It's easy enough to do. I mean, got a couple ways of doing it. I use a bike inner tube, cut it down, then I put it between the muffler and the cylinder. And then on this side, I have used a big hose clamp, and it works. Works okay, but I think this time, I'm actually gonna pull the carb, put it between the carb and the intake, and try that. I'm not sure yet. I haven't tried it that way. This one has the impulse line comes in from the bottom here into the carburetor, so I don't know if I have any spare carbs that give me a little more room to work with, but you know what, I'll just pull the whole thing, pull the handle off. Just give me a minute. Sorry, I got the handle off, muffler off, everything off except for the spark plug. So I forgot my hose clamp. So there's a ton of ways of doing this. I just personally use this. It's cheap. I think it was like $10 for a full tube. Whenever I used it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. Or bicycle tube, I mean. So, I just use this because, like I say, it's cheap. You can cut a bunch of pieces off here as needed. So, when it's laid flat, hopefully it shows up here. There's your holes. This tube is clearly way too wide. So, let's get it cut in half. Start there. Problem is now, when you cut your tube, you gotta be careful here, because if you go up to the bolt holes, I have run into issues when you try tightening down your muffler to seal it off, because the rubber wants to expand as it's being squished, like a gasket. When you're pressing down, it wants to pull out like that. Not severe like that, but that's the idea. So I try to find a flat spot in there. Get rid of this. This side, not the center. And you want it big enough to cover. I use the muffler as a reference because you can see clearly where your gasket would be. So I don't know if I'll show up. I try to stay just a smidge narrower than those bolts, than your bolt holes. Check it again. Just a hair too wide. Sure, if I was right-handed, this would make things a little easier, but and if you got a messy bench like I do, especially right now, never leave your blade sticking out. You will learn quickly why. Test fit this again. There we go. Got about a 1/16 of an inch roughly on each side of the hole. That's the fun part. I gotta work on the lighting here yet, but one step at a time. Grab your scrunch. Or the like a Torx Allen key style works too. I have both. I'm not gonna lie, as simple as a tool as the scrunches is great. You have with that T handle on the end, it acts like a counterweight, so it makes it a heck of a lot easier to spin your wrench. I'm hoping this shows up on camera, what I'm doing. Give me a sec. That's done. Just snug her down. Scrutinize me for this, but I use a hose clamp for this next part. It's very hit and miss. Oh, I find sometimes you'll cut into the rubber and get a leak from there too, but let's see. Like I said, sometimes this works and sometimes it does not work as planned. Well, I don't know if this one's going to work or not. Rubber's trying to fight me because it's a pretty snug fit. You definitely don't want any ripples in your rubber in here. That will definitely give you a potential vacuum or air leak. Now the fun part. Now you find out if it's been sealed or not. This is a mighty pressure vacuum pump. I bought it for doing chainsaws, but I also bought it for actually setting the turbo up on my Can-Am X3. So, start with vacuum here first. And by the way, if you're testing for seals or anything, vacuum leaks, you need to do it properly, you need the vacuum and pressure tester. So, go down to 10 pounds of vacuum. Okay, just set it for vacuum. Now the fun part. Is it something you sealed up that's not reading? Or is it a connection somewhere in this line? So my leak's coming from the exhaust side. I like starting with the pressure first, because then you can actually listen for leaks. Got one again. Alright, after about the 20th attempt, I think I have the vacuum pressure leak resolved. Well, go to 6 pounds. Can't remember if it's 6 pounds or 7 pounds pressure. Then what you're looking for is a leak down test. Issue is I don't know. Not 100%. My seals are 100% yet. A little extra cranky. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm gonna leave that sit for about 5 minutes to do leak down. See how many pounds it dropped. Hopefully my seals are not leaking, or my bicycle tubes, but we'll see. I have to do this test again, then I'll come back and so 20 minutes later. I left it a really long time. 20 minutes later, dropped 2 pounds in the vacuum, about 1 pound pressure in about 10 minutes. So we'll put it back together, test run tomorrow, see what happens. I did find 3 of 4 cylinder bolts actually came loose. Don't know why. The 4th one had a little bit of play in it, but not too bad, like 1/8 of a turn. The other ones were 1/4 turn, roughly. Hopefully that's the problem. We'll see what happens. Still acts up. I'll pull the cylinder off, remotor seal it, and re-Loctite it, and hopefully that is it. Hopefully it's this easy peasy fix. So I don't know, but we will see what happens tomorrow. Have a good night.